Thanks, Steve, and hi, everybody, as the track opens for final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We had a 90-minute session earlier in the day when the track temperature was only 125 degrees, and now it's 133 as drivers make their way into their cars, whether primary or backup, and getting ready for their final practice, which will be followed by qualifying. Hi once again from Darlington Raceway. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you. We've had a little break. We've had a little bit of lunch. We're ready for final practice. And what are you going to do differently than what you did in this first 90 minutes?
Well, you practice, but not hitting the wall, hopefully.
Yeah, don't practice that.
You know, but it seems like it goes that way. Here's the challenge you have now as a driver. You've been out there, you're pretty comfortable. You hadn't hit the wall, and you like your car pretty good. But then when they throw all that tape on the nose there and put those 4 tires on there and pump the air up in them and tell you to go out there and see what you got, we're going to have more cars in the wall, I'm pretty sure. It's just the nature of this beast right here.
And based on what we know about Darlington, Darrell and I were talking about this during the break, is normally when these cars go to qualify, it's not unusual to pick up a half, 3/4, even a second. You're trying to do it with the same grip level that the racetrack had when you were a second slower, and your hopes are that those new tires and the things that they do, pump up the air, things for qualifying, will give you enough grip to get around this racetrack, maybe in under 28 seconds, maybe 27.5 seconds.
You leave pit road all taped up, 4 tires, saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can.
And I'm saying, it will, it will, it will.
And then the wall says, hello.
Hello, wall.
Down to the garage and Dick Berggren.
Well, so far so good for Denny Hamlin. He looked absolutely terrific in that first practice session. Led the sheet most of the session. Wound up finishing 5th when some people tried some qualifying setups on their car. I talked to him briefly before he got in the car. Said that the knee is still bothering him. He's got more range than he's had before, but once he gets to the end of the range, it hurts. But then again, let's go back to 2006 when he won a nationwide race here with his hand all stitched up. So hurt doesn't bother Hamlin at all. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Dick, good news, bad news for A.J. Allmendinger. First, the good news, utilizing a new Ford engine. He set fast time of all the cars that competed in that first practice session. He was P1. He also said the good news, I didn't get a Darlington stripe. Usually I knock that right out of the way early on the first few laps of practice. The car's still clean. The bad news, though, although the car very fast, the only bad news today, he drew #1 for qualifying later on this afternoon. But he's got the car he set the pole with back at Phoenix. So things are looking up for Allmendinger.
Yeah, that's the one place you don't want to be P1 is in the qualifying order here at Darlington. It was a very busy first practice session. Juan Montoya, one of those who got into the wall lightly in Montoya's case. Not everyone was so lucky. First was Dale Jr. right out of the box.
Lots of damage to the 88 car.
And Joey Logano right in front of Montoya, who after a discussion with Logano went out and just kissed it with the right rear of his car. This was no kiss. This was Clint Boyer into the wall and quickly into a backup car. Scott Speed hit the wall right where it juts out in turn 2, and pow, Jamie Mack became the final victim of practice #1.
Well, as you might say, help is on the way, because some of these teams have already called back home to get another car brought down here, because this joint will eat up. If you got 5 backups, you might just use all of them.
Riding with Denny Hamlin in the FedEx Toyota. Here's our Toyota Sponsifier track description. For Darlington Raceway, 1 3/8 miles around. The banking, 23 to 25 degrees. The straightaways are now banked as well. Equal length straightaways, very different radius corners.
I was going to say, it looks, when you look at that track description, you think, well, it's pretty symmetrical. It's not even close to symmetrical. It's actually shaped a little bit like an egg, and you have down in turn 1 and 2, to me, you have turn 1, 2A and 2B over there.
I know this place has made me feel like an egghead a number of times. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it is egg-shaped. The straightaways are not parallel, because when Harold Brazington came back from a visit to Indianapolis and wanted to build a huge speedway in the South on farmland that he owned here in Darlington County, he had to keep away from his neighbor Ramsey's minnow pond to fit the track into the available piece of land. So what is now turns 3 and 4 is a much smaller, tighter radius than what is now turns 1 and 2. Boy, Regan Smith right out of the box, 5th fastest.
And right now, the times are fairly close to what we saw in the first practice. Denny Hamlin is quickest at a 28:40. Regan Smith just ran a 28:59 in this 78 car.
Yeah, Allmendinger was a 28:28, so the times are right now. But these guys are getting ready to switch over to qualifying time, and I think you're going to see some improvement in the times on the chart there.
One that picked up, Marcus Ambrose. 9th fastest. Now only 22 cars have been on the track so far, but the Kingsford number 47 up to 9th.
And I tell you, I was pretty impressed with his run at Richmond last week. Qualified 20th, about mid-pack. His car was really good on the long runs, and it was all said and done. Of course, we didn't have a lot of long runs at the end, but he ended up with a top 10 finish, his first top 10 of 2010.
Yeah, all of MWR's cars ran really good last weekend. Ruderman ran good early in the race, faded a little bit. I think finished 15th, but the other two cars really ran well. Martin Truex and Marcos, and this car just put down a pretty decent lap, third quick. Paul Menard in the 98.
It's a nice jump. He is the fastest Ford, splitting the 3 Toyotas.
But you were talking about going out first. I don't know of any racetrack that is more difficult to get a hold of when it sits here for a little while with no cars on it. It's just something about the way the sun shines down on this racetrack. If the track temp's 130 degrees, it seems like it's 160 degrees when you get ready to go qualify when you have many cars on it for a while. It just really is slick.
Darrell, I'm not sure if this is new, but the inside of all of Richard Childress's cars are painted white. In fact, in Clint Boyer's car, the whole seat, everything they could put paint on is painted white.
Well, you know, it reflects heat, and I think that's probably what they're trying to do. Of course, a lot of these teams paint the cars that kind of grayish white, the whole car, inside, the chassis, and everything else. Looks neat. First car we saw done that way, Roger Penske. Yeah,
Penske started that with his Indy cars and Trans Am cars back in the 60s using gray Imron. That was the most durable paint available at the time. And a little oil leak of fresh oil showed up really well against that light gray. Speed's coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup final practice and semi-useless trivia from Darlington is brought to you by Sponsify. Visit ToyotaRacing.com and click on Design It, Enter It. And by Tornadoes. Bold is how we roll.
Okay, so now we know the rest of the story.
Okay.
You got to paint the cars a light color inside.
Because
it's a rule.
Better to be a rule maker
than a rule breaker.
There we go.
And the reason it's a rule is NASCAR wants to be able to look in these cars. You talked about easily seeing oil or a leak or something like that. You can easily see if a roll bar or part of the roll cage is actually has a crack in it or something.
That would be rule 20-2.1B for those of you keeping score at home.
I think that falls under the category of useless trivia. Semi-useless.
Say, we used to do it because it was cool. I mean, it was different than everybody else. Now it's a rule. See there?
Let's go from rule to cool. Dick Bergman.
It's not cool down here, I'll guarantee you, because I'm in the garage area, and it feels like this is the hottest day we've had all year long at the racetrack. Joey Logano's right side, or at least the right side of his car, is all pushed in. He got into the wall in the very first practice session. Crew chief Greg Zipadelli told him, get out on the racetrack. They need more laps to try to figure out what to do to fix the car. Not surprisingly, it's good at one end of the racetrack, not so good at the other. The turns at both ends are quite different. Logano figured this racetrack out right away. Last year he came here for the first time, qualified 5th, finished 9th, led 19 laps. Imagine that. Some people race here their whole careers and never do that well.
Thanks, Dick. Now, here's the board turned upside down. Max Pappas has just run the 4th quickest lap of this session, and he struggled right at the bottom of the chart the whole first hour and a half in the Geico Toyota.
Well, that's still a 28:48. That's a good lap compared to where he was.
Yes.
But I still think that when the guys get serious, you're going to see some guys deep in the 27s.
Yeah, we've got 4 of our go or go homers. Michael McDowell, Max Pappas, Reed Sorensen, and David Stremme all in the top 7 right now.
Which I guess tells us that most of the drivers who are locked into the top 35, or all of them, have not yet switched over to a qualifying type package.
Well, what we've seen with this schedule, we saw it at Phoenix, we saw it at Richmond last week, where you get 3 hours of practice, 2 hour-and-a-half sessions. You want to spend the majority of that if you're a top 35 car on getting your car ready to race. And in the last 15 or 20 minutes, you'll do a little bit of a mock qualifying run.
Just got another car in the wall, Larry. The 16 car
Greg
off at turn
Biffle, there you
4.
see him right there.
Smacked the heck out of that wall. He gets loose off of 4 here, late exit. And you know what I'm noticing? It's right where the wall, where the safer barrier ends, there's a little slot you can get into, and if you get out of that slot, you hit the wall. So what I'm talking about here, Larry, coming off the corner back here, you're going to see him. He gets the back end, just steps out. He gets a little high right there, and boy, does it pop out with him.
He actually popped it with the right rear pretty hard.
Yeah, he did. Big time.
Greg was 12th quickest. He had only run a total of 7 laps. He had been out 3 times so far.
Well, you don't want to hit the wall anytime you're here. Obviously, that's not your purpose for being here. But hitting it in this practice, and the later we get into this practice, the more jeopardy you put yourself in, because you got to get the backup car unloaded and get it out there, and be sure you know what you've got before qualifying.
Tony Stewart has run 6 exploratory laps, and here's Martin Truex, 14th fastest right now with the Napa Toyota.
Martin's doing a really good job in this car for Michael and that group. He and Pat Tryson, I think, are a couple of guys that are going to win a race before too long.
And you know, they're in another race here this weekend at Darlington, because this is our fastest 4 of direct head-to-head, and that's Martin Truex Jr., Harvick, Hamlin, and Boyer.
Darrell, I don't like the look of that.
We keep seeing this notch. This got his hand on it right there. That notch right there, we keep seeing that on every spoiler. If you think about in Juan Montoya's, or you think about Joey Logano's, every car that's hit the wall, it's notched that spoiler out like that.
They're all at the same height. That is the top corner of the safer barrier. When we had the wing sat high up off the deck lid. It never hit the safer barrier. It was higher than the barrier, but right there is the top corner edge of the safer barrier, and everybody's hitting it in the exact same place. It's just a question of how hard.
Because the top of the barrier actually leans out. The barrier is kind of at an angle.
Yes.
And so that's where it's hitting the edge of it. Right there, you can see how it just rubs along the very top edge of that safer barrier, because it's at an angle as well. It's leaning out toward the racetrack up at the top.
And it could be a safer barrier, it could be the top of that concrete wall, but it is confirmed by NASCAR that Greg Biffle will go to a backup car.
So now the challenge they'll have with about an hour and 15 minutes is to get that backup car out on the racetrack.
The good news is the spoiler didn't bend. The bad news is everything under it probably did. Back at Darlington, you see the flat right front on Kurt Busch's car and the flat right rear. Let's show you how he got those flat tires as he spins in turn number 4. Second car coming into frame.
Now he's pretty low on the racetrack, and when you get down that low, there is a transition, or at least there used to be, between the 2 grooves there. It almost looks like he had his car pinched down too much, and that's what got him sideways and loose.
But the good news is the only damage was those 4 flat tires on that 2 car. You can see they've got it to pit road, and now they've changed them out there.
Yikes.
Just slid so long it flew right through the tread of that one.
Dick Berggren.
I'm hanging around Jamie McMurray's garage, Mike, watching what's happened here. This is the same car that he crashed in the first practice session. The crew has pretty much pounded the right side out. The decals are all gone. And I asked Jamie why no backup, and he was convinced that he didn't damage the car other than cosmetics, so they wanted to stick with their best car for the race itself. He's about ready to go on the track and see how it runs post-crash.
For Greg Biffle, it will be a backup car for the number 16. Matt Yoakum told us that the C-post was all bent from that contact with the wall, and the bodyman said, get out the backup. They did. Tonight, NASCAR drives into Darlington, where everybody's revved up. Richard Childress and Michael Waltrip come by trackside to talk about their teams. NASCAR Trackside Darlington tonight at 11 Eastern, only on Speed.
Turn 4. Joe Nemechek, an 87 car. He wasn't quite as lucky.
No, he
as
was.
Kurt Busch.
He was flying through there, and the thing just got loose on him. And man, it went into a hard spin and into the wall.
And the heartbreak of that is not how hard he hit, but that Joe is one of the few remaining driver owners in NASCAR. And so not only does he get the hit, he gets the repair bill as well.
He needs to blow up. He's got the right front all locked up and fluid running out of the car.
Now, he was much higher than Kurt Busch in the 2 car from just a little while ago, got loose in the same area, and he was not going to get that car woed down.
Yeah, the car just didn't rotate the rest of the way around, which might have kept him off the wall.
You just see, though, Larry, he can't get the car to turn. Right in there's a kind of a turning point, and if you get past that, then you're in the loose stuff, and you get to the back end comes around. Kurt was much lower on the racetrack. He had more room to recover. Joe, on the other hand, right up next to the wall.
No question, they'll have to unload their backup car.
It's just,
well, we had Scott Speed and Clint Boyer at turn 2, and has everybody else been turned 4?
Everybody's been turned 4. Again, I just know from sitting up here watching practices over the last 10 years, the guys are running 3 and 4 differently this year. I don't know if it's the grip level. I don't know if it's the speed that they're carrying into turn 3, but they're reaching their peak in the middle of the corner up next to the wall much later in the turn. And so when they're back in the gas, they're much higher on the racetrack. They don't have much room for error coming out of there.
Kurt Busch spun but did no body damage to his car.
See, normally we would be, if you look at the middle of turns 3 and 4, normally you'd be peaked right up against the wall somewhere back in there. But if you notice today, they're peaking more over in this area. Well, what that does to you is your exit to turn 4 is much shorter. And so you're having to hold the car up higher, and I think that's where they're getting in trouble. See how high, I mean, normally we got a great big gray area all around in here where cars are staying away from the wall. Today, everybody's just right out next to the wall and turn exit.
And you think about what are the differences from this year from a year ago? Well, we know the track has another year on it. The other 2 differences, we do have a different tire combination left and right, and we do have the spoiler in the wing. And I don't know, honestly, how really neither one of those would contribute to it, but that is the major difference.
Well, you always have to go back, and those are the things that you do as a team. What's different? What's causing this, and how do we fix it?
There's going to be a lot to fix this one as Joe Nemechek spun off turn 4 and caught the inside wall on the front straightaway. Practice under the red flag at Darlington. Tomorrow, Speed presents the story of the king, Richard Petty, the sport's all-time winningest driver. How did he become a legend? You'll have to tune in to NASCAR Hall of Fame biography, Richard Petty. Tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern, only on Speed. Dick?
Now, Joe Nemechek is looking over the remains of what was once one of his better race cars. How big a setback is it for you to have something like this happen, Joe?
Definitely hurts. I mean, this is we have a few good race cars put together, but that was the last thing I ever expected. I mean, it's slick out there. Just trying to make a qualifying run, and that was the first get up to go, and it just broke loose. I don't know. I don't really know what happened or why everybody's spinning out today.
So many people are spinning out in 3 and 4. Is the turn different today than it usually is, Joe?
That I don't know. I know that whatever tire combination Goodyear brought, the track is really turning black, and we've never seen it turn black like this before. So evidently something's going on.
This guy's working 7 days a week himself in the shop, 12, 14-hour days, just to get the cars to the racetrack. He's a low-budget guy who didn't need this problem.
Absolutely, Dick. Last year, Joe qualified 32nd, but Scott Speed raced the car in the event. Now here's Clint Boyer. This just happened.
Yikes, that looks like exactly what happened to him in the first car.
Only good thing is with this time, I don't think he actually slapped the wall. But Darrell, back to what Joe Nemechek said, that the racetrack's turning black. When Goodyear brings a tire that has more grip, it's going to put down more rubber, and it's going to turn the track blacker quicker.
You would think that'd be a good thing. You know, I don't think that's really the problem. I think it's just the speed. You know, the cars aren't, Larry, if you look at lap times here, we're not talking about cars that are slowing down. You go out and run a couple laps on a set of tires, you'll be a second and a half, 2 seconds slower. And these guys, really and truly, the lap times have not slowed down that much.
But we finally have had a car that dipped down into the 27-second bracket. Denny Hamlin's now quickest, just jumped in front of Jimmy Johnson. He ran a 27.95.
Well, probably as we look at Denny Hamlin coming back into the garage after that run, probably a good fellow to ask about the track would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has gotten into the wall with both his primary and his backup car. And when he hit it with the backup car, if I recall correctly, he told the crew, he said, I'm trying to get the car up to speed, and he says, I'm driving and the car's not keeping up.
It's like cooperating is what
it feels real good. It's just a little bit tight.
That's a great improvement. He's now 24th on the board.
I mean, there's no question. You don't want the car pushing. You don't want to turn the steering wheel and the car not respond. But to run fast here, I think you need a little bit of tug on that steering wheel. You cannot be loose at this place.
No, sir. I want a whole handful of steering wheel.
Matt?
Well, Mike, the Blue Deuce crew working feverishly down here on the 2 car. They asked and were awarded by NASCAR an extra set of tires. Kurt told me moments ago before he climbed in the car, he's buckling up now. He thought he might have cut down a tire possibly is why he spun. I did pose the question that we've been discussing during break that DW has mentioned several times about maybe a different line. He said, and he thought about it, he goes, you know what, I think you might be right, but the thing is, keep in mind, with double file restarts here, you're going to have to go against what you used to say here where you race the racetrack. Now you've got to try to race the racetrack, but also race other people, so you might be stuck in a different line. So he thinks some guys might be changing up their lines, as that could be one of the factors Saturday night.
Can you imagine? Here it is Friday. We're practicing, and already these drivers are thinking about double file restarts tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing to me. That shows you how big a deal it's been.
But think about it. We have never done double file restarts here because we only run here once a year in the spring.
Right.
This is the last racetrack that we've not had them during the race.
And think about this. What have I been saying ever since we got started today? You can only go in that corner single file.
And normally the only time you had to worry about that was the start of the race.
Exactly.
But look at these corners and think about what Joe Nemechek said. The track is rubbering up so much or the asphalt has grayed up so much from sitting in the sun that you got a big black line right there, especially where those right side tires run.
Now, what does a drag car do?
Puts down rubber.
He does a burnout.
Right.
He puts down rubber. Rubber's sticky. I mean, you know, you get the rubber hot and you got rubber tires and you put rubber on the track. You would think you would have more grip, not less.
Yeah, it would be unusual if that was hurting the grip of these race cars.
Yeah.
Now, where I would not like this, Darrell touched on this in the first practice, I would not want to be one of the first cars out after this racetrack has sat.
That's always been a big, big problem here. The first 3 or 4 guys out, they can't come close to backing up practice speed.
So you can't put too much rubber down.
I just don't know about that. I think you look for the groove, you look for where the dark, you know, you go where it's dark, that's the groove. I think I disagree with that. I think that the rubber's not hurting the thing. This is an asphalt racetrack. And I just don't think you can put too much rubber on it myself.
This track was repaved in 2008 as we watch Elliott Sadler try to get back up to speed. He's 40th right now. He's on his second run of this session. The track was repaved 2 years ago, and the pole speed from 2007 on the worn out surface to 2008 on the new surface jumped 15 miles an hour.
I mean, this place here, you would lose grip before they repaved it. You would lose a ton of grip from the time you got through 1 and 2 to the time you got through 3 and 4. You wouldn't have near the grip. The racetrack was just like a piece of 80 grit sandpaper. It would just wear the tires out. You okay?
I'm going to be all right. This place chokes me up. Trying to get my arms around too much rubber on the track. It's just kind of got me choked up right now.
It's kind of like having too much money. It's not a problem, is it?
No, it's not.
No. Okay. Look at the progression of fastest qualifying speeds in 1950. Curtis Turner 82 miles an hour. Heck, I know people who drive that fast to the track now. I'm not one of them. Fonnie Flock broke the 100-mile-an-hour mark in 1953. Fireball was the first to go over 125 miles an hour. And Cale, the first over 150. They paved the track in 95 and 07, and you see the big jumps as a result.
In the configuration of the track has not changed. It's just, you know, they put new asphalt down, but that's it. And I think any driver out there will tell you this racetrack, when it was designed, they had no idea the speeds would be even close to what they are right now.
But that's what I love about what they did here. They didn't try to fix it. When they redid the track, when they repaved the track, they didn't say we're going to change the banking. We're going to make it where you can race on another grid. You know, make the banking higher, or make it where the apron's more usable. They put it back exactly like it was.
Let me take even further back, Larry. In the first Southern 500, almost all the tracks raced down on the apron. The banking was the safety runoff area. It was not the racetrack. Till finally somebody got up there and went, hey, look at me, Mom, I'm going fast.
A lot faster up here than down there.
Not crowded either.
But Darrell, to expand on what you were saying about not changing it, I love what Chris Browning and the people here did. They brought some of the more successful current Darlington drivers down here, like Jeff Gordon, like Jeff Burton, and said, what do you think? Do you want us to change anything? What do you want to see different? And I think the consensus was just put new asphalt down, leave it alone.
Agreed. We asked for Dale Jr.'s opinion of what's going on here today, and Dick Berggren responds.
So what's happening? Is this the racetrack or is it the tire? Why are so many people in the wall?
It's hot and slick, and it's 90-something degrees out here, but I don't think we really had to go to a backup, but we did just in case we had some ball joints or something we couldn't see bent. This car here just ran some really good laps, so I feel pretty good. I don't know, you know, it's just slick out there. Everybody's running hard, and it looks like on the replay, I was real loose and couldn't turn the car left to get back down in double apex to exit a 2, and I just got the right rear in the dirt. It must be really dirty outside that groove, and if you just try to arc it a little bit too much, you get that right rear in that dirt up there. But you know, it's just typical Darlington. You can't, might as well not even decal the right side when you come here.
Indeed, but you remember last year when Jimmy Johnson had to go to a backup and wound up finishing second, so you can still have a good night tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Old school, okay? Turn 2 is turn 4. You know, I know exactly how he feels. I come to this joint and I look around, I always think about, yeah, down in 1 and 2. I got to remember, 1 and 2 is not 1 and 2, it's 3 and 4.
I think the easiest thing, the big end and the little end.
Now there's an interesting mix of characters in the leaderboard. Turn 2, we've got a spinner. Oh, pow. Bad news for the Tommy Baldwin team as Casey Mears takes it hard into the wall. That's the hardest hit of the day right there.
And Casey actually right now is 14th quickest, and there's Tommy Baldwin coming down off the hauler. He knows no need to evaluate this race car. They'll get their backup car out.
See what happened? Oh, man, he got loose way back in the middle of that corner and hits the end of that wall right there. That's a hard lick.
Now,
that's down in 1 and 2.
See where he got up in the outside, and the spoiler knocked the trunk lid off, and then the inside wall did the rest.
Sure did.
But you know what I like? Another thing that NASCAR has done over the last few years, if you notice, that deck lid was not connected to that car with nothing but those tethers. Keeps that deck lid with that race car.
He lost that baby getting into 1, really, and it ended up over there off the turn 2. And
Casey okay. Took a little bit of time getting out, but again, it is a really hot day here in Darlington. 90 today, 90 tomorrow, and then a cold front comes through on Mother's Day. It's barely going to break 70 in Charlotte.
And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be borderline getting that backup out. We're hearing that owner Tommy Baldwin is up inside the top of that hauler. And if it's 90-something degrees, trust me, it's about 120 or 30 degrees in the top of that hauler. And they're going to be pushed to get that backup car out on the racetrack now with roughly an hour to go.
You know, you come here, you wonder why those backup cars just don't sit out on the back on the lift gate, ready and waiting. Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Kevin Harvick is the point standing leader. 1,467 markers. For more NASCAR stats, NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Tommy Baldwin and team getting the backup car out for Casey Mears.
Kind of look at that back stretch, and you can see right in through there. You see, it kind of has that little almost little belly sticking out right there.
So the list of hits keeps growing, and so, Larry, the list of backup cars today.
Yeah, that'll be 6 backup cars. The 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 33 of Clint Boyer, and the 82 of Scott Speed from the first practice. And basically all the cars that's hit the wall in the second practice, including the 16 car of Greg Biffle you see there, Joe Nemechek in the 87, and now the 36 car of Casey Mears.
I think the other thing we're seeing, Larry, is this. It's going to balance out. Had a lot of trouble in turn 4, but the day ain't over with yet either, so it might just balance out, you know.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet tomorrow night this wall will be black from turn 1 all the way back to turn 1.
And the one team that has not practiced in this session is the 82 of Scott Speed, as they are still working on getting that backup car ready and approved to practice. Here he goes. Kyle Busch and J.D. Gibbs on race day live, and relive the closest finish in NASCAR history, all on NASCAR race day, built by the Home Depot, live from Darlington tomorrow at 5 Eastern, only on Speed. Let's get down to Matt Yoakum.
Mike, it's May, it's mid-90s, but boy, it sure feels like an old throwback Labor Day weekend here in Darlington. Jeff Burton, you just stuck a temperature gun inside your car. What'd you aim at, and what was the temperature?
I was just curious what the floorboard was. Where my feet are, it was 157. So then I shot my shoe, and it was 127. So there's some. That's right.
When you look at this racetrack, since the paving, is it a different animal than it was for so many years?
Yeah, it is. It's different, but it's the same. It's the speeds are so high. Every lap's what used to be a qualifying lap, and you do it lap after lap after lap, and that's significantly different. It's so fast that when the thing twitches a little bit, it's around. You know, it's the old way. You slid, so when you slid, you always slid into a wreck. These, they don't. When they slide, they all of a sudden slide, and that's it gets around on you quick. So it's the same because a lot of people are going to wreck, but the way you wreck's a little different.
Pleased with your race car?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I think that we need, you know, if you look at the sheet. There's a lot of people that all run within 0.2 of a second, like the whole field runs within 0.2 of a second. So any little bit you can get, you're gonna be in good shape for it. We made a little change there at the end. I thought we got better, so I'm pretty happy with it.
He's won at a lot of places, but Darlington always a very special one. Dick Berggren?
Well, A.J. Allmendinger won the very first practice session. Was that with a full-blown qualifying setup under the car?
No, that was just a brand new tire scuffing them in, but we know how much faster it's going to get. We just really been focused on race trim, the insignia Best Buy Fords. Pretty fast. We got a good balance. Obviously, we know that tomorrow's a night race, so the conditions now to tomorrow are going to be different. But putting in qualifying trim now, and if we can just keep it off the wall, I think it'll be a win today from everybody else. So this place is tough, but I love it.
Which of the 4 turns are you best at?
It's an incomplete. I don't know yet. You haven't quite figured that out yet. You give me 500 miles tomorrow, we'll talk after, then I'll let you know.
All right, we'll talk to you in Victory Lane. Thanks.
The dinger, always good for a quote. How about David Rudiman, 31st fastest right now.
Kind of keeping an eye on his 2 car. You know, he spun off turn 4 there a minute ago. So we're looking at David Rudiman here in the 0-0. Let's watch Kurt here. He's going down the back. And one thing I noticed, he's just running a little bit lower. He's not going all the way up against the wall. And look how he's pinching it down really low coming off of turn 4. Unlike all the other guys that have been right out next to the wall, I don't know if that spin, maybe he said, I need a little more room here and I'm going to keep it a little lower.
A little adapting, yeah.
Or maybe he just likes it down there and he's got the grip he's looking for. But he's definitely running a little lower in 3 and 4 than everybody else is.
Does it look like a more cautious line?
It does. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure if the spin didn't maybe cause him a death. But you can see right here, he's just not getting all the way out next to the wall, and then he's really pinching it down low when he comes off.
You know, guys, we were talking a while ago as we see Scott Speed in his backup car out there as we've got about halfway through this second practice and final practice session. We were talking about the differences from a year ago. We talked about another full season on the racetrack. We talked about the new tire. We talked about the rear spoiler. But listening to Jeff Burton, and they've just handed me a sheet of paper, there's another huge difference, and that's simply the weather from a year ago. You know, and I'm looking at the race day from a year ago to what's being forecasted for tomorrow. We're going to be about 10 to 15 degrees warmer, I think, when the race starts versus a year ago and when the race ends from a year ago. So that's another variable that we're dealing with, I think.
Paulo Montoya getting ready to take another run. Match with the driver who is still searching for speed today.
Mike, different agendas up and down the garage. For Carl Edwards, you guys are chasing speed better at one end of the racetrack versus the other.
Yeah, much better in 3 and 4. And my guys aren't afraid to work. I mean, it's 90 degrees out here, whatever. They're changing everything, and they're working hard. We planned on being a little faster as second practice, but the things we tried didn't work. So they're just under there changing everything, and we're hoping it gets faster. I'm real slow across 1 and 2. There's so much speed down there, you know, and if a guy's 2 or 3 miles an hour faster, it makes a huge difference.
All right, thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, he's real slow, period, not just in 1 and 2, because he's 45th out of our 46 cars right now. He's run a total of 9 laps. Looks like a complete rebuild right now.
It really does. I mean, they got the rear springs. I believe that's a rear sway bar, or is that an axle land there? It could be a sway bar. I'm not sure. I think it may be a sway bar. They're changing the whole setup under the rear of the car.
Todd Bodine returns to the Sprint Cup Series, driving for Larry Gunselman in this number 64, trying to make the show, but they are also on the search for speed. Good run. He just jumped up there to 19th overall, but he's still in the bottom 3 of the go or go homers, even with that lap.
Yeah, I mean, our slowest go or go homers, 2 of them are two of the 3 cars that's crashed, Casey Mears and Joe Nemechek. And you can see right there, look, these guys are 15th and 19th, but they still, based on the go or go homers, are not fast enough to make the show.
And if you want to make a comparison here, you got Mark Martin is 42nd, Jeff Gordon's 41st, Matt Kenseth is 40. So you've got guys, Matt, you got a track record holder over here in 40th place. So it just shows what tires and tape will do. And these guys are ahead of the curve right now.
There is Casey Mears now driving for Tommy Baldwin, trying to put the 36 backup car in the show.
Yeah, just tape and tires and a little bit of qualifying setup took Jeff Gordon, you just talked about, from way over here in the 40s to he's now 3rd quickest at a 28.07.
70.
Jimmy Johnson just displaced Gordon in 3rd on the chart. So what you're saying is at this transition time in the practice, pay no attention to the scoring monitor.
Exactly.
We're going to have a tough time keeping up with this scoring monitor in the next 30, 40 minutes, I promise you. Mark Martin right now is 42nd quickest. I'd be willing to probably bet this is a little practice qualifying run for this 5 car, so we'll see what he does.
Brad Keselowski jumps up to 3rd behind Hamlin and Regan Smith.
Now Mark's fast time right now is a 28.85. There's Brad Keselowski we're just talking about.
Bet he beats that. That's pretty fast.
David Stremme just went to 9th and 7th for Mark Martin. 8th for Max Pappas.
Okay, too loose, Benny. Loose everywhere, you know.
So drivers starting to put down their qualifying runs in this final practice.
Tell you, for the time of day and the heat of day, that 27.80 by Denny Hamlin is pretty sporty.
That's what I'm telling you, Larry. These speeds, and I think that's one of the things that's getting these guys in trouble.
Did he hit the wall? Kyle Busch. I think he did.
Smacked it. I saw a bunch of debris look like flying off the right side of the car.
Spoiler looks okay. So he was coming to green for his mock qualifying run.
Let's see what happens to this bad boy. Whoa, it just took off up the hill and wouldn't turn. Well, that's odd. Just gets up there in that loose stuff.
Right where the wall juts out, Darryl.
Right where that little swell is in the wall. He got it. He got it pretty darn good, too.
That's a hard lick on that 18 car.
Matt?
Mike, he just told Dave Rogers, the crew chief, it laid down in the splitter, and then it just never turned off the corner, and the video tells the rest of the story.
No, you're right, man. It never turned. It just rolled itself right up the hill into the wall.
Now, I'm sure they'll have to evaluate it, but I'm looking in the garage area, and I definitely see a lot of the 18 crew members getting over to that hauler in a hurry. Now, they ran to the hauler. The car came in. They ran back to the garage area. There's still a couple of guys over at the 18 hauler up in the top waiting for the verdict here.
See this little spot right in here? I mean, that's the wall. It's a sucker hole. You're back here, and all of a sudden the wall goes wham, and you're right into it.
Just juts out a little bit there. Just enough to send crew members scurrying for that backup car if needed.
Mike, that wall is a lot like the track. It's not exactly symmetrical. It just kind of wanders around.
I mean, sway back.
Look at it back here, and it just comes around, and it goes in there, and then it comes back around here.
You can see the difference, you know, in a safer barrier. Look how long the foam is there, and look how narrow that it is there. That tells you the tale right there, just in the length of the foam.
And the length of the skid marks against it.
I'm pretty sure Harold Brazington designed that wall right there.
It's going to all need repainting tonight.
That'll make the guy that paints it happy. Job security.
Here's our track record holder, Matt Kenseth. Right now, he's 42nd quickest at a 28.84. I don't believe Todd Parrott in that group. I don't think they've put new tires on this car just yet because it looks like he's still making race runs. That lap was a 28.96.
Now, we talked about all the work going on Carl Edwards' car.
All right, Darrell, that was an axle that was laying there a while ago. We've been talking about these rear ends being skewed. Looks like to me they're probably making a toe out or toe in change in the rear end housing, unlike on the front end with independent suspension where you just adjust the tie rod. In the rear of the car, you have to change the whole housing.
That is the question, to skew or not to skew.
Now, we don't know if he was skewing or not skewing. He's going to do the other now.
So Shakespeare, is he a fabricator or a tire changer? What does he do? About 35 minutes left in this session, and you see that drivers have already made mock qualifying runs. At least everyone on this list appears to have run down at least once. And looking at the go or go homers, most of them are in that top 20. The only ones who are not in the top 20 overall right now, Todd Bodine and Joe Nemechek.
You know, I was sitting there thinking, man, we didn't used to hit the wall like that down here. What the heck? Of course, then I realized we were going 4 seconds slower, too. Yeah. And if you slow down a little bit, you probably wouldn't hit the wall.
You'd also be going home today if you slowed down that amount.
Gosh.
But I do believe that our knockout qualifying later on this afternoon is going to be a very interesting part of the qualifying session. Because those guys know that you have to go or go home, and if you go a little too much, you may go home because you didn't complete your qualifying lap.
Knockout qualifying at Darlington.
Well, that's literal.
Exactly.
Dave Rogers, the crew chief for Kyle Busch, talking to NASCAR, a lot like we saw Lance McGrew earlier. Dave Rogers getting his first career win as the Sprint Cup Series crew chief the other night at Richmond.
And now having a discussion about whether or not to haul the backup car out of the trailer to replace that number 18.
You know, I was listening to one of the 18 crew members being interviewed after the Richmond race, and he paid Dave Rogers a great compliment. He said, you may outrun Dave Rogers, but I promise you, you won't outwork him. Very focused individual on what he's doing.
Looks like they're trying to fix that bad boy. Get the saws out and the hammers.
Dave Blaney, I guess they scared everybody off the track, Darrell. Dave Blaney is the only driver on track right now.
Now, that's back in the day, that's the way it used to be. You couldn't get anybody to go out and practice.
You go try it. I'm not trying it.
You go knock the wall down. And you know, back the wall up.
And you know who would always go out after nobody, when nobody else would? Buddy Baker. He would go out. Yes.
Now, Dave is the fastest of the go or go homers right now. He is 7th quickest in his 66 car at a 28.08.
A.J. Allmendinger is also on track. Blaney's not the only car. See what Blaney can put down here.
He's trying, I can tell you that.
Good qualifier.
You got it.
You know, yes, they missed the show last week. Neither of those cars had the speed, but
I think they're working on it to improve this week.
And not quicker than his fastest lap. In fact, about 2/10 off it. Matt, what's up with the Doublemint twins?
Well, Doublemint number 1, they're in evaluation mode on the first car, not brought out the backup car just yet. They're going to work on it and see if they find any other damage over the course of the next few minutes. Going to try to take this race car back out and make sure it's okay, and then make a decision.
You remember the Doublemint twins used to be in, you know, that were in all those ads for years and years?
Yeah.
Can you name them?
Jane and Joan.
The Boyd sisters from Hammond, Indiana, were the first Doublemint twins.
Double your pleasure, double your fun.
From 1956 to 63, and then they were replaced by another set of twins, and so on and so on. The backup twins, I guess. Whatever. Meanwhile, practice continues for a few, like Kurt Busch.
Meanwhile,
who right now is 26th on the practice chart.
Now this just starts a run. I'll be anxious to see if this is a practice qualifying run for Kurt Busch. His fast lap is a 28:59 in this 2 car, and he started a lap. Evidently, he did not like what he felt through 1 and 2, and he just brings her right back in.
Now, I can't imagine.
I couldn't either. I know what you're thinking,
can't
but I
imagine
couldn't
that
either.
you would
This is not Richmond.
bump in put a corner on a set of tires here, but maybe that's what's getting these guys in trouble.
Joe Nemechek almost said that when Dick Berggren talked to him.
So maybe knocking the new off of them might take a Scotia speed out of it, but give you a bunch more security on that get up and go.
Jeff Burton in the Cat Chevy.
I'm just saying.
Jumps up the board to 3rd, 27.95. He is the 4th driver to break 28 seconds.
We have exactly 30 minutes to go in this practice session.
Just saw Burton coming off turn 2 there. Remind me, back in the day also, we used to come off turn 2 over there on the apron. I mean, you would actually get all the way down, exiting turn 2, all the way down on the apron, because there was grip down there.
And it was bumpy, and old car would do a lot of porpoising on the exit of turn 2.
It bounced around, but you timed it just right. Bam, 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 and you'd be right where you wanted to be.
J.J. Yaley for Whitney Motorsports picks up to 18th fastest overall in the number 46 Dodge that was piloted by Terry Cook up until this week. So Denny Hamlin quickest with Montoya, Burton, Smith, and Keselowski the Fast 5. Monday night, get your motor running with NASCAR Race Hub. The latest news and information, and hear straight from the folks who make the news in NASCAR when they stop by the garage to hang out and talk racing. NASCAR Race Hub presented by Hooters, Monday night 7:30 Eastern only on Speed.
Here's Matt Kenseth. We concluded a while ago he was still making some race runs because he's 42nd quickest of our 46 car. Matt, are they going to make a qualifying run with this thing?
Well, they're still working on the race car, and he said moments ago that he can roll in there and get on the throttle like he wants in 3 and 4. He's good there, but he's just way too loose down in 1 and 2. He says, I just really don't know what the front is doing down there, and I don't know how to explain it to you. So they made some changes up front, and he's gone back out, and they'll evaluate the car when he brings it back.
Yeah, the only thing I'm seeing here when I'm looking at the Roush Fenway camp is the fastest of those 4 is Greg Biffle. You see right there, 31st quickest. Reagan 40th, Kenseth 42nd, and Carl Edwards. We know they're in a rebuild mode right now, 45th of the 46 cars.
So none of those have transitioned over to qualifying trim, apparently. Jimmy Johnson has just jumped to 2nd on the board behind Denny Hamlin.
Ooh. Man, it looks like that car is just right on the edge.
Yeah, watch that front splitter as he rolls off into the corner. All the daylight that was up and under, especially the right side, is gone. It's just sucked right down to the racetrack.
Yeah, but what you don't want to have happen is what happened to the 18 car, and it get down and lay on that splitter. That's when the front.
Closer. Still a little bit more comfort needed. 3 and 4 is a lot better coming to the green.
That's what I saw. The car just looks edgy. Just looks like it's right on the edge.
And he went ahead and ran the second lap. He slowed down a little over a tenth. I was telling our producer, Barry Landis, earlier that I felt like of our top 35 guys especially, it'll probably for the most part be one lap and done.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Todd Bodine and the Gunsman 64, and it's going to be a struggle to get this car in the field. The couple of races that it's shown up, it has not shown the speed necessary to make the grade. And right now, of the 3 drivers at the bottom of the list, Todd is one of them. The other 2 had crashed.
You know something Jimmy Johnson told Chad Knaus, though, and it is a very critical part of qualifying. It is almost everywhere we go, but I think especially here, he talked about how the car felt through 3 and 4 coming to take the green. That's important.
This car right here is impressive. He's sitting in there. That car is going exactly where he wants it to. I mean, he's not fighting with it.
He just moved the bar too to 27.74.
When you hear me say he's holding a pretty wheel, folks, that's a pretty wheel.
Yeah, it's the best spin right there.
You got that right, brother.
And
didn't get the green excellent, but I did get it through it better than the previous run on that time lap.
Talking about the same thing, Darrell. He talked about how he got through 3 and 4 coming to take the green, and he talked about 3 and 4 on the actual lap. And while he was making that run, Montoya jumped up the second quickest to a 27.81.
And we saw Todd Bodine, who jumped up to 20th, but still among the bottom 3 of the Go or Go Home crowd. Hamlin first, Montoya second, Jimmy Johnson third. Saturday night, May 22nd, the stars come out for the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on Speed with $1 million on the line. Don't miss it. It's only on Speed, and it's Saturday night, May 22nd.
I love the month of May. I mean, if you're a sports fan, this thing about the Kentucky Derby, you know, we got the Southern 500, we got the Coke 600, we got Monaco in Formula One. I mean, the month of May is a racer's delight.
Indianapolis.
And the Indy 500. It's a smorgasbord.
It is.
It's just a smorgasbord. It's a cornucopia.
It's a what?
You know.
Well, meanwhile, while we're looking at Word Up, Clint Boyer in this 33 car, of course, this is a backup car for Clint Boyer, out there on a little bit of a practice qualifying run.
You know when they show the bountiful harvest of all the things from the field, and they got that thing that looks like a long funnel? That's the cornucopia.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't make that up, Larry. I mean, that's a real word. All that other stuff I made up, but that's a real word. I just got excited, okay?
Tony Stewart contemplating the right side of his car.
It's pristine at this time.
Yes.
It's pristine, but it's not fast because he's 39th quickest of our 46 cars.
Now Brad Keselowski is 6th on the board right now. His fastest lap came on his second run, his 4th lap of the session. See if he can improve on a 28.03 and join the other 5 drivers that are in the 27s in this practice.
It's actually just starting a practice qualifying run for this 12 car, but it definitely looks like at the number of laps he's run, Jay Guy, his crew chief, and Brad, they've decided just to work on qualifying for this practice session here.
Folks, I know you're at home and you're watching this on TV, but you can't believe, stand up here watching these cars, how fast they are. Dadgum, they're getting around here fast.
And I know who's getting around here real fast right now in a car that he slapped the wall in the first practice, Jamie McMurray, in that one car better Denny Hamlin by 3/1000ths of a second to a 27.742.
And that's why he didn't want to get a backup car out.
Right.
He said, you know, I want to fix this car. This is my best car.
Now, if he stays fastest, everybody want to go out and slap the wall just a little.
Or go get a Big Mac.
Sitting there with just one decal left on the right side, the door number.
He just had a Big Mac attack.
They're loving it. Now. If you don't like hamburgers, how about pizza? Elliott Sadler.
Looks like Elliott's starting to run here because he's 36 quickest.
These guys, you got to give a tip to half these guys. They're in Nashville, Tennessee. They were making pizzas and handing them out to people that were affected by all the flooding that's going on at home there. And, just a tip of the hat. That's just, you know, Tennessee's the volunteer state, and everybody's been volunteering down there, helping people that are hurting right now, people that lost everything they own in the floods, and they are devastating. The news and everything I've been watching just does not do justice to what's going on there in Nashville.
I saw the pictures of the Grand Ole Opry, and here's a look at Biffle one lap ago.
Remember, this is a backup car for Greg Biffle. And
then Darrell Gay forwarded some video of the Opryland Hotel, that beautiful establishment, and there's up to 10 feet of water inside the hotel.
When I flew home on Monday and I flew over at the Opryland Hotel coming into Nashville, all you could see was the roof. The whole area down there in the lower part of Broadway in Nashville and out around Opryland, the whole north side of town underwater.
A lot of folks in the NASCAR garage from Tennessee, and I know at least one car will have a decal on it on tomorrow night.
Gil Martin and the 29, the 29 car. They're going to have and
trying to raise some money for Red Cross aid and effort to help.
People want to know what they can do to help. Donate some dollars to the Red Cross, because there was a lot of folks in Nashville going to need your help.
Marcus Ambrose 14th with a 28.08. There are half a dozen cars within a few hundredths of getting into the 27s now. Regan Smith jumped into the 27, so did Jeff Burton and Sam Hornish, who is now 4th. And that lap by Marcus Ambrose was oh so close, but not quite.
You know, and what a driver's faced with on a 29-second lap around here as he's coming around these turns headed for the wall. Do I stay in it or do I lift? Do I stay in it or do I lift? That's kind of what you fight as you go around this racetrack. Is it going to stick or is it not going to stick? And you got to make those decisions in milliseconds.
But you know, Darrell, one thing that I'm starting to see here, it's starting to cloud up a little bit, which is going to cool it down. And we were looking at the practice sheet from last year in final practice. And remember, in qualifying, Matt Kenseth had a new track record at 27:39 in the final practice last year. Jeff Gordon was the quickest at a 27:68, and we're sitting there at a 27:74 right now.
We might be able to say
new track record.
If it clouds up, like you say, we are seeing some big white puffy clouds roll in.
Kyle Busch back out after a brush with the wall earlier. He is 31st on the board, was just going out for his mock qualifying run and got into the wall. See how he fares here.
That car hit the wall pretty hard. They did a nice job of getting it fixed up and getting him back out there.
In fact, he jumps up to 8th quickest, 28.02. Another car that's jumped up there, really not a surprise.
With the front, about a 5 tight.
5 tight.
You know, I like that. I like
that.
it when you give that 1 through 10 scale. That definitely lets you know the intensity of it.
Yeah, that's a great system. In the doctor's office, they have photographs starting out with a smiley face at number 1 and, you know, pain and agony at number 10. How does it hurt on a scale of 1 to 10? Everybody can give you on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're old enough to count to 10, you can rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and that's a great system for driver and crew chief too.
Very much so. But the car I was going to mention, this is Michael McDowell. Right now, Michael is 17th quickest. He's the 2nd quickest of the go homers. But Sam Hornish Jr. in the 77 car qualified 4th a year ago, just jumped up to 4th in this practice session.
So what I'm seeing is the more things change, the more they stay the same. The more they stay the same.
Jeff Gordon jumps to 7th with that lap.
We now have 8 cars that run in the 27-second bracket.
Still a little bit tight, but pretty good. Therefore, let's just see what the other tires do.
Jamie Mack leads practice. Speed's coverage of Sprint Cup final practice from Darlington brought to you by Dish Network. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Jamie McMurray, Denny Hamlin, Juan Montoya, A.J. Allmendinger has jumped up into the top 5 and 4th, and Sam Hornish 5th.
This may be another little practice qualifying run for Mr. Montoya in the 42 car. Last lap was a 27.81. Let's see what this lap will do for him. 27.95, about a tenth and a half slower than the run before.
Bring it to me.
Didn't like that. Bring it to me. We'll put it back like it was.
Kurt Busch trying to better a 27.90.
That was the lap he just completed. That puts him 9th quickest. David Reagan jumps up there to 10th quickest right behind Kurt at a 27.97 with his 6 car.
And Denny Hamlin, who was fast for most of this session, is back out trying to better a 27.74. There goes Hamlin. And Regan Smith, who has also spent time in the top 5.
Well, we heard Hamlin say that I don't feel like I got up to speed like I needed to. So that ought to improve his lap time if he ran the same lap but gets up to speed a little quicker.
Jimmy Johnson 6th fastest and trying to do better. And you saw David Gilliland, who is in that fierce battle for 35th and the final spot in the go and go on Saturday list. Right now he's on the go or go home list. And 27th overall.
Yeah, those front row motorsports cars, they're like in a dogfight. They're like 34th, 35th, and 36th right now. Very close to each other in points.
Jamie Mack has been quickest. 27.74 is the best time of the session.
And I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made in these next 10 minutes because this is final practice before qualifying. This is final practice before that 500-mile race tomorrow night.
Quicker 27.61 for McMurray as Joey Logano comes out.
He is dialed in today. McMurray is. Once he got on a qualifying setup, that thing is working, man.
Yeah, and I don't see Denny Hamlin better than that because watching Denny Hamlin in the 11 car right now, they're actually making race runs with that 11 car again because he's running like mid 28s right now and running several laps at a time.
Nice job there, guys. Are we done?
I hope.
Please.
I hope.
Only have to do it one more time.
Don't make me go back out.
8.5 minutes to go in the session.
Yeah, Denny just ran a 28.71, so they made their practice qualifying runs, and kind of like what I was saying a while ago, just making a few more changes and trying a few more things for race setup.
Martin Truex trying to pick up. He is 31st right now. Napa Toyota.
Kind of like what the 11's doing. It's almost like they said, okay, we know we're fast. Now, what do we need to do from our fast qualifying setup? Can we race that? I think what they're looking at is, can we race this setup?
Yeah.
So they're going back out and making some laps to see, I believe.
Truex jumps up to 18th with that lap. And that moves Paul Menard out of the top 20. Ryan Newman up to 12th. Jeff Burton to 7th. Mark Martin 14th. A lot of changes in the closing minutes of this session. Ryan Newman just ran a 27.87. And that will put him 12th on the board. 28.007 for Newman. So Jamie McMurray is fastest right now with about 7 minutes to go. Red lights flashing because Marcus Ambrose has killed the right side of his car up in turn number 4.
Yeah, you can see just there on the front corner that the right front is shoved in, but when we get a shot of the whole right side, you'll see the back of the car is ripped off.
I mean, you can see the right side is shoved over, or the back is shoved over so much it's kinked the left rear quarter panel.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Frankie Kerr and that group will be unloading a backup car. So the first laps Marcos will turn in that backup car will be when he goes out to qualify.
Whoa.
We only have about 4.5 minutes left in this practice session.
There's your backup cars today, 7. And only won in the last 5 races. Oh, gosh. And here are the Darlington stripes today.
And again, a little asterisk, Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually got a stripe with his backup car as well in the 88.
So he's a twofer.
Double dipped.
Now, Casey Mears and Joe Nemechek got a lot more, and now Ambrose, a lot more than just a stripe. They got the front ends of their cars stove in, losing that battle with the infield wall. But look at all that safer barrier and all of that tire rubber and some body paint that ends up on it.
Tomorrow night it'll be a matter of managing the speed. I mean, that's what it's all going to come down to. And you know how you win this race? You go just fast enough to win.
I think you learned that the hard way one time, didn't you?
1979, I was eating that wall up, and I had a lap lead on the field.
You just had passed David Pearson or put him a lap down, hadn't you?
If I had a seatbelt on, I'd jumped out of the seat of my car because I just passed David Pearson to put him a lap down, and he was running second. And I was just big old smile on my face until I hit that wall.
A lot of cars lined up hoping to get another lap or two in the final 3 minutes of this session. Kyle Busch among them.
You know what made that really bad? Jake was Pearson's crew chief, and Pearson came on the radio. Jake said, and he's going to lap you, and David said, let him go. He'll take care of himself.
Oh.
That's mean, wasn't it?
Prophetic. It was prophetic, however.
He said, that's all right. He'll take care of himself.
Tell you what, these guys are going to have to hustle if all those cars are going to get out there with only about 2.5 minutes left in this practice session.
Whoa.
Won't be time for a clean lap, but
going to have to watch out. Here comes the 83 car up to speed with all these cars coming out on the racetrack.
We'll see a lot of this tomorrow night, Darrell, as cars get new tires under green. The closing rate here will take your breath away.
Yeah, and you run up on cars, and it's kind of like running into somebody in a hallway. You don't know whether to go left, go right. You start second guessing the guy, and bam, hit him.
Ryan Vickers in the 83 car.
Picks up to 15th.
Just
jumped 28.02.
Just jumped up there.
Joe did Nemechek. I just noticed he got his backup car out there.
I'm not so sure that Brad Keselowski in the 12 car didn't do the same thing that his teammate Kurt Busch did a while ago. Left pit road, went through 1 and 2, and right back in. Looks like maybe they just rolled their qualifying tires in.
I really don't think that'll hurt anything. As long as you don't make the tires mad, you'll be fine.
I want to see what Carl Edwards does in the 99 because he anchored the chart slowest in practice, 46th. They changed the rear end housing, the whole rear end, to get a different alignment on that car. And this is his first lap with the new configuration.
29.49.
That's not good.
Yeah, anything, honestly, even in race runs right now in the 29s is not good. I've not seen anybody. We saw Denny Hamlin out there running mid to mid-high 28s with a fair amount of laps on his tires.
Boy, you can just hear he can't get back to the throttle. I mean, you're just having to wait on it. Cut it clean there, get a plug check. But they got bigger job.
28.80, which gains him 1 spot on the board. So definitely a science project here for the 99 team.
I'd say Carl's going to qualify, and he'll have no idea what he's got under that car when he drives it off into the corner.
Joe Nemechek gets a lap or 2 on the backup car. That's good news for Joe, and they'll turn it over for qualifying trim like everyone else. But right now, the bottom 3 of the go homers, Todd Bodine, Casey Mears, and I don't believe Casey got on track with his backup car after the crash, and Joe Nemechek. Practice is over. Jamie Mack wins.
I just saw a number of cars, and not a number, but a few do what we're talking about, Larry. Put that half turn on their qualifying tires. Jeff Gordon just did that.
Here's a look at your top 10. McMurray and Hamlin among those who've been quick through the whole session. Montoya and Allmendinger as well.
And you see McMurray and Montoya. You saw a graphic a while ago. That's a couple of the cars that slapped the wall in the first practice session.
Hey, how about Scott Speed in a backup 11th?
You just take her up there, and you know what the limits are, Larry. Back
know
off.
where the line's at.
That's right. Just back off a little wee bit.
Our go-homers that could be in trouble, possibly J.J. Yaley, but as far as this practice, Todd Bodine, Casey Mears, and Joe Nemechek, of course, those last two in backup cars.
There are the drivers who must qualify on time, and the first-timers, Yaley and Bodine, right there, right around the cutoff mark.
Busy place down there right now.
So they've got work to do between now and 5 o'clock when we bring you Sprint Cup qualifying live. Nationwide qualifying is coming up right here on Speed. Then a bit of NASCAR Live, Sprint Cup qualifying, and you'll see trackside tonight at 11 p.m. More than a few found their way into the wall and into backup cars in 3 hours of practice. Do a lot of damage.
Close to a third of our field.
All right, folks, we'll see you for qualifying later on today right here on Speed.